I know these come at random, but we're back. Thank you for watching the channel. I need to probably come up with a little slogan at the beginning, but I don't have one. But thank you for watching. For everybody that's out there, and again, what we'll be going over is crime stories. So I think I'm gonna throw an unsolved mystery in at the end. I'll see. But got a little bit of format. I'm gonna start off with the true crime database, get into Wattpad, and then I think I'll end with some Reddit stories, just depending on time, because I have a few things I have to do later on in about an hour or so. So instead of wasting all this time talking, let's go ahead and get into the stream, and let's go ahead and get started. Our first story is Whitey Bulger. Let me see, is that what it's called? Yeah, Whitey Bulger, Winter Hill gang leader. All right. All right. So it's titled Whitey Bulger, The Rise and Fall of Boston's Infamous Crime Boss. And again, this is on the True Crime Database that I'm reading this off of. I believe Nucleus is the one that writes all these. So that's where we're getting this story from. So just looks like maybe it's some background right here. James Whitey Bulger was one of America's most notorious criminals, ruling the Boston underworld for decades while working as an FBI informant. Interesting. His reign of terror, marked by extortion, drug trafficking, and murder, ended in dramatic fashion when he was captured after 16 years on the run. His story is one of crime, corruption, and ultimate justice. Okay, so wait, he was an informant. Wait, so he ruled Boston underworld for decades while working as an informant. This will be interesting. Okay. So it looks like Whitey was born in 1929 in South Boston. James Joseph Bulger Jr. grew up in a tough neighborhood and quickly turned to crime. He was first arrested as a teenager and later spent time in Alcatraz and other prisons for bank robbery. That was when? Oh, they don't have a timeline, but I'm assuming it's before 65. They've been like 36 at this point. Upon his release in 1965, he returned to Boston and gradually took control of the Winter Hill Gang, a powerful Irish American criminal organization. Bulger expanded his influence through ruthless violence. He was implicated in numerous murders, often eliminating rivals and those who threatened his operations. Despite this, he maintained a fearsome reputation and avoided prosecution for years thanks to a secret alliance with the FBI. That is interesting. So, because I know people, they have their informants and whatnot, but why is he still being allowed to get away with crimes? I guess they're saying it's super violent and often it's in numerous murders at this point. Perhaps the most shocking part of Bulger's criminal career was his relationship with the FBI. His childhood friend, John Connolly, became an FBI agent and recruited Bulger as an informant in the 1970s. That's why. Okay. The arrangement allowed Bulger to provide information on the Italian mafia, while Connolly and the other corrupt agents protected him from prosecution. This deal allowed Bulger to operate with near impunity for decades. He used his FBI connections to eliminate enemies, often tipping off the agency about rival gang activities. The extent of the FBI's involvement in shielding him remained hidden until the 1990s when the corruption was exposed, leading to a massive scandal. So, cool question, because part of like gang life, mafia life, and I think it gets mixed in regular culture when they talk about like snitches and stuff like that. But I feel like this would be the true definition of what a snitch is, because nobody knows he's working with the FBI. And then when people get close to either finding out or somebody doesn't do what he wants them to do, he goes, runs, tell his buddy, and now next thing you know, these guys are locked up or possibly killed, depending on what happens in the battle, basically. In 94, with authorities closing in, Bulger received a tip from Connolly and fled Boston. For the next 16 years, he successfully evaded capture, traveling across the United States and even living in Europe. My thing would be, how aren't they figuring out Connolly is telling him all this stuff? And I know this is in the 90s, so maybe We can't trace things that well, but yeah, that would be my only thing. It was like, okay, there's a connection, clear connection, if they're childhood friends, which the FBI should know about. But and especially if he was his informant, you would think they would look into the background of those two. He and his longtime girlfriend, Catherine Gregg, ultimately settled in Santa Monica, California, where they had lived a quiet life under assumed identities. Bolger's time as a fugitive ended in June 2011 when authorities, acting on a tip, arrested him in his apartment. But at this point, this next part, the 81-year-old was found with weapons and over 800,000 in cash hidden in walls. His arrest brought an end to one of the longest manhunts in FBI history. But at that point, this man has lived his best life at this point. 2011? He was born in, what did they say, 60? Was it 60 or was it 40? Let me scroll back up here. I'm sorry, he was born in 1929. I did my math entirely wrong. 1929. And you don't find him to 2011? My man's an old man by now. It does. He's like, okay, I go to jail. I've done everything I wanted to do at this point. And probably not even, honestly, you don't have that much time to live after this. In 2013, Bolger faced trial in Boston for a series of crimes, including 19 murders. The trial exposed his violent past, detailing gruesome killings and his manipulation of law enforcement. Was it manipulation or somebody helping? He was convicted on multiple charges, including racketeering and murder, and sentenced to 2 consecutive life terms plus 5 years. Well, he's 81 at that point. Bolger was transferred to several federal prisons before being sent to the Hazleton Penitentiary in West Virginia in 2018. Within hours of his arrival, he was brutally beaten to death by fellow inmates. The murder of the 89-year-old former crime boss was widely seen as an act of prison justice. Oh, he had. Yeah, well, because he was a snitch. That's why. The little definition of it. Whitey Bulger's legacy remains one of corruption, violence, and betrayal, a chilling reminder of the dark side of organized crime. That would be my thing. As soon as he got into jail, especially if there was people that he helped put inside, or if it was like members of whatever mafia gangs, whatever that he's putting aside, because nobody knows he's an FBI informant. Yeah, as soon as he gets in there, no matter how old he is, it's gonna be over for him. And that's probably why he got transferred to several prisons because they were, for safety reasons. But at this point, also he's 80. I'm pretty sure these guys don't care. That still don't care. Especially he's probably killing family members, friends, sent probably hundreds of people to jail. Yeah, ain't no telling. But jeez, they didn't even say who beat him. It sounds like a lot of people beat him because it says by death by fellow inmates. Jeez. Yeah, but to go to jail at 81, I guess he goes multiple jails in an 8-year span and then get beaten to death at 89. To be honest with you, you're on your last legs anyway by that point. Just being honest. There's no defending yourself at 89. At 81, there's no defending yourself. 89 makes it even worse. So, ain't no telling, but by that time, this man has lived, because he went to jail, but had a stint in jail earlier, right? They didn't say the time frame, but they did say he got out. If I remember, he was around about 36 when he got out. It says upon his release, okay, so he was first arrested as a teenager, spent some time in Alcatraz and other prisons for robbery. He was released in 1965. So basically, from 65 to 2011, this man is out and good to go, and basically took control of an Irish American, what's a crime organization. So 65, let's see, the 2000s is 35 years. Add 11, so for 46 years, this man was just out. Ain't no way. They even have a picture of the guy. That's probably what I need to work on, showing like in my videos. But no, as I get better, I'll figure it out. James Bulger Jr., the mobster, known as Whitey Bulger. Interesting. Okay. All right, that's the story on Whitey Bulger. The next one I found is Gareth Williams, the body in the bag case. Hope we not a can't be your cousin. All right, Gareth Williams, the cryptic demise of an MI6 agent. Oh, I guess I'm going over agents today. I set these up probably like a little while ago and didn't realize I must have got invested in crime organizations or informants. I'm not sure, but let's go. The mysterious death of Gareth Williams, a British intelligence officer working for MI6, remains an enigma that has baffled investigators and sparked intrigue worldwide. On August 23rd, 2010, Williams' lifeless body was discovered inside a padlocked sports bag in the bathtub of his London apartment, triggering a complex investigation that raised more questions than answers. I bet. Born on September 26, 1978, in Jealousy, Wales. Oof. So England, basically, or somewhere. No, well, let me not mess this up. I don't know if that's England or not, but I know it's over there, close to England. Gareth Williams displayed exceptional intellect from a young age. His academic prowess led him to study mathematics at the University of Manchester before delving into the world of code breaking and cryptography. In 2001, Williams joined the Government Communications Headquarters, the GCHQ, where he honed his skills in signals intelligence. Williams' career took a secretive turn when he joined MI6, the United King's Foreign Intelligence Service. All right. His role involved working on top secret projects, and his expertise in cryptology positioned him as a valuable asset. Yet, it was the circumstances surrounding his untimely demise that thrust Williams into the public spotlight. The intrigue began when colleagues at MI6 realized Williams had not reported to work. Concerned by his absence, they contacted the police, who subsequently gained entry into his Pimlico apartment. What they discovered inside was a scene reminiscent of a spy thriller. Gareth Williams' lifeless body lay curled inside a red North Face bag, padlocked from the outside in the bathtub. Jeez, what did he do to get that? Oh my God. The unusual circumstances surrounding his death immediately raised suspicions, I would agree. The flat showed no signs of forced entry, and there was no evidence of a struggle. The padlock bag added an extra layer of perplexity to the case, prompting investigators to consider various scenarios, from espionage-related foul play to the possibility of a personal connection. The subsequent post-mortem examination proved inconclusive, and toxicology reports failed to reveal any traces of drugs or poison. Oh my God, that means this man had a horrific death. The lack of clear evidence only deepened the mystery. Speculation flourished, with theories ranging from a state sponsored assassination to suggestions of a bizarre sexual fantasy gone wrong inside of a locker. What type of fantasy is that? Or a bag, wherever it was in. The investigation explored Williams' personal life, examining his relationships and connections. It was revealed that he had a keen interest in escapology. Okay. And had attended a hacking conference shortly before his death. So he wanted to be, what's the magician? I can't think of the guy right now off the top of my head, but he wanted to be that guy, the escape artist. Oh my goodness. However, despite these details, no conclusive motive or suspect emerged. In 2012, an inquest held at Westminster Coroner Court further muddied the waters. The coroner, Dr. Fiona Wilcox, acknowledged the unusual and suspicious nature of Williams' death, but concluded that the evidence did not support a verdict of unlawful killing. I'm still confused how he got into padlock locker if nobody put him in there. In a gym bag. Instead, she labeled it as an unnatural and likely criminal act, leaving the circumstances surrounding his demise unresolved. The Gareth Williams case continues to fascinate and perplex with conspiracy theories and speculations persisting. The lack of a clear resolution has fueled public imagination, and the mysterious circumstances of his death remain a haunting reminder of secrets that cloak the world of intelligence agencies. Despite the passage of time, Gareth Williams' death remains an unsolved puzzle, emblematic of the cryptic nature of espionage and the challenges faced by those tasked with unraveling the mysteries of the shadowy world he inhabited. The legacy of this enigmatic case endures, leaving an indelible mark on the intersection of secrecy, intrigue, and the quest for truth. Okay, I am so confused. So we didn't find anybody, which I just realized we didn't find anybody. And so my man, he how does he end up in a case? Well, I say case, but a locker. How big is the locker? That's we don't have any pictures on this one. I can't get an idea of how big the locker was. But okay, so let's go back to the part. All right. Okay, so what they discovered inside was a spy thriller. Williams' lifeless body, was laid curled inside a red North Face bag, padlocked from the outside, in the bathtub. So if it's padlocked, well, sometimes padlocks have locks on the inside too, though. But that means he could get himself out though if he was inside. It's padlocked from the outside. Because that means he didn't. Well, maybe I'm not sure. I'm actually not. I don't know about how all padlocks work. Yeah, because if you're inside, you should still be able to get outside though. But how big is the locker, or how small is the locker? Because to curl yourself in there, and then why would you put yourself in? This is, and then why would you put yourself in a gym bag and throw yourself in a locker? I feel like somebody else would have to do that, right? Because like, how are you closing a locker if you're in the gym bag unless the locker is not small? If the locker's not small, that's cool. But didn't they say he was in the tub? Or did I just put that part in there? No, I didn't. It says Gareth Williams' body leg curled inside a red North Face bag, padlocked from the outside, in the bathtub. Bathtub's only but so big, so unless the locker is sitting up like vertically, I don't understand how there's no cause of death that they can find, even if he put himself in there. No fingerprints, no nothing. If no finger, yeah, because unless it was like assassin type, just like because he's working for MI6, maybe I don't know, but it's like they didn't find anything on this guy as far as relationships, friends, but because if it was somebody he knew exactly, no forced entry, but it doesn't sound like anybody entered the home because when they got there, let's see. Let me. All right. Yeah, because he was on top secret projects. I wonder, did he have anything at home? They didn't say if anything was missing, like any paperwork that he might have took back home, but I doubt he should have had anything home. But they definitely didn't say anything of that. Says the flats showed no signs of forced entry, and there was no evidence of a struggle. Yeah, and the padlock added extra layer of perplexity. That's a good word because I don't understand what just happened. I don't understand. I still don't get this. Somebody have to explain to me how he got in that locker, or if somebody has more information, please let me know because I'm trying to figure out how this man even figured his way to get in there. That is wild. All right. Let's keep going. All right, this is going to be the last one from the true crime database, or maybe not, because we might be going to Wattpad. Like I said, I'm on a time. I have some time. I don't have a whole bunch of time though. But let's go ahead and go to Wattpad. All right, this one is the disappearance of Renee McRae. Renee McRae. Again, I'm still on Arena True Crime, like her stories. Renee McRae was born February 1940. Renee is a Scotswoman who has been missing since 1976 and is presumed to have been murdered. All right, let's see what I picked here. Renee lived in Inverness. Maybe that's in Scotland, but I sure hope I pronounced that right. Renee lived in Inverness and was married to Gordon McRae. Though the couple were separated, she had two sons, 9-year-old Gordon and 3-year-old Andrew. On Friday, November 12th, 1976, Renee left her home in Cradle Hall with both her sons. She dropped her eldest son, Gordon, at her estranged husband's house and turned south on the A9 in the direction of Perth to visit her sister in Kilmarnock. Neither Renee or her son Andrew have ever been seen again. Oh man, I didn't realize Andrew was in there too. Ugh. Later the same night, 12 miles away, a train driver spotted Renee's burning BMW car in an isolated lay-by. When the police reached the vehicle, it was charred and empty, apart from a rug stain with blood matching Renee's blood type. Jeez. One of the most intensive searches ever mounted in Scotland's failed. Let me reread that. One of the most intensive searches ever mounted in Scotland and failed to find any trace of evidence. It was concluded that they had been murdered, that the murderer had made careful plans and had disposed of the body without leaving any clues. Witnesses on the A9 reported seeing a man dragging something they thought was a dead sheep not far from the car. A person, a dead sheep, really? While others saw a man with a pushchair near the quarry. Renee was reported to have been wearing sheepskin coat when she disappeared. All right, that makes a little bit more sense now. As police investigated, it became apparent that Renee's personal life was not straightforward. Oh, no. In 1971, unbeknown to her husband, Renee began to have an affair with Bill McDowell, who was married with 2 children and worked for Gordon McRae as an accountant and company secretary. Oh, no. Nobody knew about the affair except Valerie Stevenson, Renee's best friend. Good God. You're not saying this right, but stop. Don't tell nobody. She revealed that Renee had not been planning to visit her sister that night, but had intended to travel to Perthshire to visit Bill, who happened to be Andrew's biological father. Okay. I'm glad. Maybe we're glad she told it because we wouldn't have this story because, whoa. No wonder why they were separated, especially if he found that out. Renee had confided to her friend about her conducting an affair the spring of 1973 when she had been pregnant with Andrew. According to Valerie, Renee was completely besotted by Bill. I'm assuming besotted means like enamored. And he had told her that he had a job with Texaco in Shetland and had found a house where they could live. Although, according to Valerie, these details turned out to be a pack of lies, which he was never leaving his wife. Bill admitted their affair, but had not spoken about the case again except to deny any involvement. Right now, I have my 2 main suspects, Bill and what's her husband's name? Let me go back up here. Gordon. Bill and Gordon are my 2 main suspects right now. But let's keep reading. The revelation of Renee's 4-year affair with Bill led senior officers to admit that the case was mired in a sea of deceit and untruthfulness from its start. Detective Sergeant John Cathcart coordinated the search, and after 8 months, he had a breakthrough. While excavating Dalmagary Quarry, he was hit by a stench. After removing a layer of topsoil, convinced it was a sign of corpses, he continued digging, but was told by a superior officer to stop as the bulldozer they were using had to go back to the contractors due to short of funds. Really? Really? Sounds like somebody else knows something. The inquiry was wound down 2 years later. However, a 2004 Grampian television documentary called Unsolved screened throughout Scotland. Renewed interest in the case and the investigation was reopened. In 2004, Chief Constable Ian Latimer launched a cold case review, which led to £122,000 being spent on an excavation on a Dalmagary quarry in August. Over the course of of 3 weeks, 20,000 tons of earth from the quarry had been excavated and 2,000 trees were removed. All that were found were 2 crisp packets, some men's clothing, and rabbit bones. Jeez, do all that and be in the wrong spot. As of August 2006, 250,000 pounds has been spent. It might be euros, whatever. Has been spent reinvestigating the case. In recent years, speculation has focused on bodies have been being buried under the A9, which was in the middle of the major program of upgrading at the time of disappearance. An 80-year-old farmer with supposed divining skill in his dividing rods in Dalmagary and declared the bodies to be under a track 12 feet down. He now thinks the bodies are under the A9 at the spot that he marked with a yellow circle. Okay. In 2010, the Scottish government announced that a 2.6 million euro or pound contract had been awarded for an overtaking lane at the location, which renewed interest from the farmer who claims to have discovered anomalies in a radar survey of the area. However, a spokeswoman for the Northern Constabulary said that after studying aerial photographs taken by the RAF during the construction of the A9, they were satisfied that the bodies were not buried under the road. On the 2nd of October 2018, it was reported that the Lenox quarry near to the Culloden battlefield was being searched by Police Scotland in relation to the case. All right, it sounds like they're guessing now. Yeah, because we've pulled up 250,000 euros or pounds of space, and now we're going to another quarry. Yeah, we're just guessing at this point because it was on TV, and we really don't know what happened to these bodies, which sucks. Especially they got the mom where she having an affair, but she don't deserve to die because she having an affair. But now we got the kid that's involved in it too. Let's see. Northern Constabulary named a suspect in a report to the procurator fiscal in October 2006. But the Crown Office declared there was insufficient evidence to go to court. From the start, the prime suspect was Bill. That would have been my prime suspect. Suspect number 2 would have been the original dad that started with a G. I was about to call him Jerome, but his name is something else. Gerald? Is it Gerald? Gordon. Jeez. Gotta be able to remember stuff like that. But yeah, Gordon would have been my number 2 suspect. But let's keep going. Let's see. Okay, so from the start, prime suspect was Bill. He has always been reluctant to speak to the media. However, in 2004, he broke his 28-year silence and insisted that he did not kill her. A week after the disappearance, Bill walked into Inverness Police HQ to make a voluntary statement. However, his wife dragged him out the building and nothing was said ever again. More than 40 years after the disappearance, further details emerged of a suspect who had fled the U.S. the day after being interviewed by an investigator in the aftermath of the disappearance. James Taylor said his late friend, Sandy Thompson, a senior officer who worked closely with Renee's contacts, who carried out the field work investigating the case, had been sure Renee was murdered and buried on the A9 near a flyover. James reported his concerns to Police Scotland following an appeal for information to make the 40-year-old anniversary of the case. He said that Sandy Thompson spoke to a foreman in the roads department who had said someone had dug up a section of the road on that day Renee disappeared. Renee and Andrew. I think we're forgetting Andrew. There was one man he spoke to about the road and showed the evidence they had gathered. James recalled, I guess he's saying, Sandy saying, Sandy said he knew right away when the man looked at it that the woman was dead. That was where she was buried, and this man knew far more about it than he was telling. The man fled to the U.S. the next day before returning to the U.K. later when the case had gone cold. If he really did do it, he made sure to not get caught. In September 2019, detectives from Police Scotland's major investigation team arrested a 77-year-old man in connection with the disappearance. At Inverness Sheriff Court on Wednesday, 11th September, Bill McDowell was charged with the murders of Renee and Andrew McRae. Jeez. You know what I think might have happened? Because not Renee, Bill never left his wife. But Renee was about to come to the house and about to stir some stuff up. Especially if she would have brought up that Andrew was his biological son to the wife. I'm assuming Bill probably already had an inkling or some clue about it. And that's probably why the separation between her and Gordon happened. Because let's just say they weren't being intimate at all. And then next thing you know, we pop up with a kid. Yeah, all right. I know this first kid's mine. Yeah, I don't know about this other one. And then especially if it came out and it doesn't look like me at all. And I know that's not like entirely the case. But usually it's like you have some inkling or something. Like have my height, something, eyes, nose, something, ears, I don't know. But he probably knew. He probably knew and was like, yeah, there's no way this kid's mine. And that's probably what prompted the separation. Because if you think about it, why did he take one kid and not take the other kid? Because he knew. He knew that kid wasn't his. He's like, yeah, I'll keep Andrew. You take the oldest one. Like I can't remember the oldest one name right now. But oh no, it's Gordon. Yeah, it probably was Gordon Jr. Yeah, but you take Gordon Jr. I'm gonna take Andrew. Me and Andrew, we're gonna go somewhere. We're gonna go to my sister's house. Really? Why wouldn't I take both of my sons? Because one of them are not mine. And that's probably honest what happened. And I think on the other side, she probably told Bill that she was coming and dropped the news, especially when Bill did the thing where he told her, yeah, no, we're gonna spend the rest of our life together. I'm gonna get a house. It's just gonna be me, you, and the kid. And we're gonna start a whole life. I'm gonna leave her. Knowing good and well he ain't leaving. Ain't going nowhere. And she probably was about to come in and mess everything up. And Bill was like, he can't have that. He probably got some sort of peace. He has a couple kids with his current wife, and he can't do it. Yeah, and then probably told her to meet him before it was like, okay, yeah, we'll talk it out. Just meet me here. Knowing good and well that he had a plan all along. If that is the way it happened, I don't know. I'm just over here guessing at the moment. But if I had to take a guess, that's probably not too far off of what happened. Probably told him to meet her somewhere and was like, okay, yeah, let's talk it out. I'm gonna say let's not come to my house. Let's talk it out. We'll let me see my son. And that's probably what he led with. Let me see my son. I do want to see my son. I want to see you, of course, but I want to see my son. And she was like, okay. All right, Andrew. I have something to tell you. But let's go meet. Let's go here first. Meanwhile, this man had evil intentions the whole entire time. And I will say allegedly because I don't know, but he was arrested in 2019. And he wasn't arrested because because they were guessing. They probably found something. And I'm thinking when he first went into that police station, how long ago did they say he was about to go in? In 2004, he went into the police station. But his wife drags him out. And then in 2019, they arrest him. Yeah, I'm pretty. Oh man, I didn't even think about that. Look at this down here. Somebody said it's sketch. This is sketchy. It was probably the wife. I didn't even think about her as a suspect. Let's think about this. The wife overhears a conversation they're having. And she's like, who are you talking to? And he's like, nobody. Don't worry about it. Who are you talking? Bill, who are you talking to? Nobody. And you know how those phones back in the day, I would say, especially the ones on the wall, all you gotta do, I would say, hold the button and then pick up the phone, hold it. You can hear exactly who on the other line without it clicking over. And probably heard, maybe heard one of the conversations, heard exactly where she was going. But if it, okay, let's just say it was the wife, right? How would she know unless she hit her with the car where exactly? Because she could have known she was coming over like one of the conversations. But how would she have known unless she had had talked with her? That would be tough. Bill's still my number one suspect. I ain't gonna lie. Gordon would be number two, but the wife is an interesting case. I'm trying to think of how the wife, other than a car accident and then killing the son, because that would mean the wife would have to get in contact with Renee, and maybe okay, this scenario, wife gets in contact with Renee because Renee, and she finds out that Andrew is Bill's son, and she's like, "All right, cool, we're gonna go get this guy. We're gonna go get Bill together. All right, meet me here, and we'll coordinate a plan." They get there, but they were buried under a bridge, so I don't know how they killed them. Does it say how they died? Because I don't remember reading anything about like blunt force trauma, getting shot. I don't remember reading anything about that. Yeah, because they didn't really find the bodies. Um, yeah, they were trying to find the bodies. Yeah, because everybody says, yeah, we think they're there. We think they're there. We dug up 250 euros, 50,000 euros of land, moved 2,000 trees, and still couldn't find this person. Yeah. Yeah. Somebody said the body's never recovered. Nope. Never. Is it one of those love triangles? Maybe. I'll say maybe. I don't know. Somebody said, and it might be just reiterating. James Taylor said that his late friend Sandy Thompson had been sure the remains of Renee had been buried near the A9 late flyover. I'm wondering why they didn't check to see whether the remains are there or not, because it can be a possibility. Also, they put, I think James Taylor should be arrested and treated as a suspect because he disclosed that his late friend Sandy disclosed to him that he was sure the remains was over the A9. So James Taylor disclosed all the information his friend told him. He took off to the USA. My question is, why did he run off if he was not guilty? He would have stayed. I think there's more information. That's true. He's still not my top suspects. Bill, Gordon, and we could put the wife and James on the same level. But Bill's number one because Bill doesn't want to mess up his family, his current lifestyle. Probably have fun. He probably never thought Renee was going to get pregnant. Renee's get pregnant. Asking her, "Did you take the pill?" Probably said, "Yeah," and then was like, "Oh, I'm pregnant." And Bill's like, "Nah, you're not pregnant." Yeah, because I'm pretty sure Bill knew. Or she just has the baby, and then one day tells Bill, and Bill can't handle it because Bill can't mess up his family life. Depending on what Bill was, what his status was with the community and whatnot, he probably didn't want to mess that up. All right, that was definitely one. Oh, okay. I was over here, just went over to my chat and realized somebody was there. Harlow. Hey. Oh, then I messed it up. Yep. Yep, I didn't even realize that. I'm over here reading and didn't realize anybody was in the chat. Wonder if I wonder if does the chat pop up on the screen? Probably I probably have to do it, but do I know how to do that right now? No. Well, I figure it out eventually, but right now, nope. Right now, I'm just reading, and I'll figure out all the rest of this stuff a little later. Okay. Probably what's going to be the last story of the day. If I had to take a guess. Oh, actually, it might not be. This one is actually, it looks a lot longer than what it is. I might be able to sneak in two stories. I might be able to sneak in two stories. We'll see. We'll see. I'll try to get into the second one. Second story, it looks like a longer read. But let's go ahead and get into it, and then we'll see. I'll check on time. See if I can get another one in. All right, this one is the disappearance of Ava Brennan. Ava Brennan was a 39-year-old Irish woman who vanished after leaving her parents' home in Dublin on Sunday, 25th, July 1993. Despite vanishing exactly 4 months after Annie McCormick, her case received almost no police or media attention, which her family feels drastically affected the investigation. Ava was born on August 4th, 1953, to parents David and Eileen Brennan. By 1993, she was single and lived alone in a one-bedroom apartment in the upmarket South Dublin suburb of Rathgar. Why? What was the single part about? Maybe that's about to. Um. Oh, okay, because she's 39 at that point. All right. All right. I can see why that they brought that news. Wait. Yeah, she was single at that. Well, wait. Is that math right? 53 to 93? Is that 39? I feel like that's older than 39. Am I tripping? Oh, no. Wait. 53 plus 40. Oh, okay. She's about to be 40. All right. So she stood at 5'7" and wore her hair short, looking much younger than 39. According to her family and friends, she appeared 10 years younger than her actual age. She was also described as being a creature of habit and enjoyed a quiet life based on routine. Sunday the 25th started off normally. Ava went to Mass at St. Joseph Parish, Tirriner. Ooh, I know I'm messing that word up, but forgive me. And then walked to her parents' home in Rathgar via Tempelog Road, arriving at approximately 1 p.m. Ava reportedly visited her parents almost every single day, and this was no exception. This particular Sunday was a little different, however, as the entire family had come together to have dinner. However, before they could start eating, Ava and her siblings had an argument over the food being served. Really? At this age? Although a small and seemingly insignificant disagreement, Ava promptly decided to leave and quickly departed the property. She was last seen leaving her parents' home in Rathdown Park. By the time Tuesday the 27th came around, Ava's family was starting to get worried. They hadn't heard anything from her since Sunday, which was extremely uncharacteristic of her. They would normally speak to or see her daily, so they knew something was wrong. Her father, David Brennan, called around to her apartment in Madison House, but didn't get a reply. Oh, called round her apartment. Still, the sentence is weird on that one. Increasingly concerned, he returned with a barman from the pub he owned, and they broke a window to gain entry. Upon entering the property, he observed how clean and tidy everything was, with nothing out of place and no sign of struggle. He also stated that the coat she had been wearing on Sunday was found hanging up in her apartment, so it appeared that she made it home for the day. However, her handbag, keys, and money weren't present. The pink tracksuit that she had been wearing Sunday couldn't be accounted for either. Her father reported her missing later that same day. Despite Ava's disappearance being mere months apart from Annie McCarrick's, I probably should read into that one day because I'm not familiar with that. Annie McCarrick's, the Garda didn't seem to take her family's report particularly seriously and simply told them that Ava was over 21 years old and that they didn't think her disappearance was the result of foul play. See, now that would piss me off because I'm telling you she's missing and y'all not looking because y'all like, oh, maybe she took a day off. But I'm telling you, my daughter contacts me once a day at the minimum. And it's been probably a couple days at this point. I'd be like, hey, what are we doing? I probably need to read into Annie McCarrick. Probably need to make that my next story if I have time because I need to figure out why they're referencing that. Even when the family told Garda that Ava suffered from depression, they simply suggested that she had committed suicide and didn't look at the case further. What? Where is this at again? Because now I know it's not the U.S. Hold up a second. Irish. Okay, this is Ireland. All right. Wow. Ava, the police can do that? Ava's family strongly disputed this theory on the basis that she was a devout Catholic and she had no suicide note or anything similar to suggest she had intention. Frustrated at the Garda's lack of interest in the case, David Brennan used his political influence through the FF party to enlist the help of Albert Reynolds, the Irish head of state, in getting authorities to investigate properly. Well, yeah, like, what are y'all doing? The Gardaí eventually began to look into the case more seriously, but by this point, Ava had been missing for over a month. Oh my God. And a forensic examination of her apartment revealed nothing. Additionally, a look into Ava's background found no boyfriends or romantic partners that could have been involved. Jeez. It's unknown what time Ava arrived at her apartment on the Sunday and left again, but what's baffling is that there wasn't a single sighting of her by anyone on her way home. She would have walked along several very busy streets that were lined with restaurants and cafes, and it was a warm summer's day. In addition, Ava's father was a successful businessman who owned several pubs and was involved politically, so him and his family were very well known in that area. Despite this, not a single sighting of Ava was reported that day. With no leads and no evidence, the case very quickly ran cold, and due to a lack of publicity, Ava's name slowly faded into obscurity. Alan Bailey, the former sergeant detective of the Garda Cold Case Unit and national coordinator of Operation Trace, stated, I always considered Ava to be one of the forgotten missing persons. If you ask anybody who disappeared in 1993, they'll always mention Annie, but Ava seems to have been forgotten. It has been almost 32 years since Ava vanished, and not a single trace of her has ever been found. It's still unclear why she wasn't seen walking home, where she went after returning to her apartment, and if her disappearance was the result of foul play or, as originally stated, suicide. Garda have confirmed that Ava's case is still active today, and they issued a new public appeal for any information that could be relevant. However, unless new information comes to light, Ava remains missing and her case remains unsolved. Jeez, that's sad. Yeah, because there's no facts like for real about this case because it seems like Ava was a good girl and she's 39 at this point when she went missing in 93. And it's been basically over 30 years since that point. And jeez, I can't. She's older at this point to be gone missing. But my thing is, how has nobody seen her though? Like going back home, I, and I'm not sure if she had a car or not. Because if she had a car, maybe that's why nobody saw her. But if she was walking, would be surprised nobody saw her. But also, she had no boyfriends. She had no romantic interests. It doesn't seem like she was really involved into that. I don't know. This interesting. I know they threw the faith thing in there, and you know, people have faith, but people have their demons as well. So I don't know if that is, they throw suicide and stuff like that out there. So I was wondering, but still, eventually you would think they would find her. So who would have been in that area? All right. So my next story needs to be. I need to go ahead and highlight and see if I can find a quick story on Annie McCarrick, because I don't know who that is, but she seems to be somebody that we need to see if we can find a story on. And I can look real quick, but before I do that, I forgot. Before I do that, let us go to the comments. The suggestion that she couldn't have committed suicide because her religion forbade it immediately leapt out at me. That's not only the only way the interaction can play out. It very much can play out. I don't want them to find my body. It just drives someone to make their attempt in nature instead of at home. But my thing is, they still would have found her. And then somebody said, which is sad, the original poster actually says, I personally lost a friend to suicide a few years ago. He was also a devout Catholic and had actually condemned others for committing suicide. Just because someone is of a certain faith is absolutely not a deterrent for something like suicide if there is such a mindset. I agree. Yeah, because everybody has their own demons, man. And yeah, you just don't know. You just don't know what somebody's dealing with and how you make them feel. I don't know how bad that argument at dinner was, but hopefully that would be the thing to make one of my siblings kill themselves. I don't know off of what they said because the one thing probably would have been mentioned is her being 39 and not having a boyfriend. What are you doing? They'll say you don't have nobody that love you or anything like that. But that would have been if anything like that was said. Yeah, of course that would have been that would be on your mind for probably the rest of your life as a sibling. I live in a place where coats are quite optional, but could the coat detail be wrong? Could she have been wearing no coat, a different coat? It seems most likely that she would have been a bit impulsive and go somewhere immediately to self harm, not drop her coat off and leave again. Going away somewhere immediately would also explain why no one saw her walking back to her apartment. And then somebody under that puts July is summer in Ireland. I would personally think it strange at all for someone to have gone outside without a coat, unless it was perhaps raining at the time. I would not leave a coat, summer or not. While summers got hotter in Ireland, it's not exactly what you would call summer. Okay. Same in Scotland. You would want a warm, waterproof available at all times, not just spring or autumn. Oh, I didn't know that. Clearly I'm not from there. Okay. I didn't think about the fact that she definitely went back. So she goes back home, drops off her coat, but they said the tracksuit wasn't there. Who would have gotten her? We need to read. I need to find this Andy McCormick. I need to see if I can find Andy McCormick story under unsolved because this probably will it probably will clear up a little bit for me. And if I had to take a guess, this will probably be a longer story. It's long, but it's not too long. Oh, I said McCormick. I am so sorry. Annie McCarrick. That's who I need to. Okay. All right. Let's read a few more, and then we're going to get to Annie McCarrick. But Annie McCarrick will be our last story of today. But we'll get into that in just a second. Let's see. Let me go back. Let me see. Okay. It says the Garda and their investigations have always left me quite frustrated and annoyed. So many missing cases and unsolved murders. Sucks for sure. An original poster put, especially in the 90s and 2000s, they'd had numerous cases where they either just didn't care or they effectively attempted to pin crimes on innocent people. That would make me almost not want to live there. Because I know if anything happens, you're not going to look. And what's the point? I'm saying, what's the point? If I'm not a big enough person for you to do a search party, you're just gonna throw my case away. Oh my goodness. It says, somebody said I was just thinking that this is the second case I've read today where a woman disappeared and they just refused to even consider looking. What the F did they do with their time? It's just baffling. Not like it's just a huge country or anything. It's not even landlocked. I understand surveillance wouldn't have been great back in the days. Plus, large swaths of forest land would have made it improbable to search, but still. And then somebody under that puts, I think the key place to start would have been getting off their backsides, to be honest. I hope things have improved the last couple of decades. Yeah, it seems pretty bad. I guess the Guard is their police because everybody does not care for them. And yeah, it sounds terrible. Yeah, but yeah, it seems like they brush off a lot of stuff or pin it on other people. But that sucks for. Oh my goodness, that sucks. This is terrible. Yeah, I'm gonna say Ava, and the thing is, her body just hasn't been found. Yeah, but now I need to know who Annie McCarrick is because the story doesn't make too much because it seems like Annie McCarrick's case might have been I'm not sure if it was a major profile case, but it seems like something happened that was similar. And of course, it's in Ireland because I'm looking at it a little quick read. But let's get into Annie McCarrick. This will be our last story for today, and then I will I will be back again this week. But let's get into Annie. Annie McCarrick was a 26-year-old woman, 26-year-old American woman who was living in Sandymount, Dublin when she disappeared on Friday the 26th, March 1993. When did Ava disappear? July 1993. Okay. Annie was originally from Bayport in Long Island, New York, and had moved to Ireland initially in 1987 to study teaching at St. Patrick's College. Annie returned to New York during 1990, but decided to relocate to Ireland again in early 1993. The day that she disappeared started like any other. Annie called her friend Annie O'Dwyer. Oh, Annie had a friend named Annie. That's pretty nice, pretty cool. To see if she would like to go hiking with her in the Dublin and Wicklow Mountains later that day. Unfortunately, Anne had recently injured her foot and was unable to accompany Annie. Annie's housemates had returned to their respective homes in the countryside for the weekend at this point, so she was in the apartment alone. It's believed she knitted until around 11 a.m. An account from her housemate stated that Annie was sitting upright in her bed knitting that morning. She had purchased 2 tickets to the theater performance as her mother was coming to visit her the following weekend, and Annie was very excited and happy to see her when she arrived. After 11 a.m., Annie decided to run some errands in the town. She reportedly visited her bank and then purchased groceries before heading home. She had promised to do some baking for her workplace the following day, the Cafe Java in Lesson Street. Annie arrived home approximately 3 p.m. and was then seen leaving again shortly after at around 3:15. This sighting was confirmed by a plumber, Bernard Sheeran, who was working there at the time. What's surprising about this is that Annie didn't unpack any of her groceries before leaving again, which is odd, as she had perishable items such as butter and milk, which were being used in her baking. Annie was then spotted by a fast food restaurant owner walking along New Grove Avenue towards a bus stop. Annie was boarded. Annie then boarded the number 18 bus, heading towards the upmarket Dublin suburb and Ranelagh. Hopefully, I pronounced that right, people in Ireland. Here, she would board the number 44 bus that would bring her to the picturesque village of Enniskerry in the Dublin and Wicklow Mountains. So she's still going hiking? I'm confused. I thought she wasn't going hiking. Or maybe she went by herself. Annie was spotted by an ex-co-worker by the name of Emir O'Grady, who was also queuing for the 44 bus. Emir would later tell Garda that she had called out. Oh, Emir's a woman. Oh my goodness, I thought it was a guy. Emir would later tell Garda that she had called out to say hello to Annie, but that she was ignored. The woman she believed to be Annie would ascend the stairs to sit in the upper area of the bus and disappear from view. She noted this was out of character for Annie, who was normally outgoing and very friendly, but didn't think much of it. Imar exited the bus before Annie, and this was the last confirmed sighting of her. It should be noted that the bus would have arrived in Enniskerry around 5 p.m., which would have been a very late to start hiking in the mountains, as sunset that day would have been around 6:15 p.m. How long? I think a thing with note would have been to how long did it take to hike those mountains. One major detail that has baffled Garda is that absolutely nobody in the small and quaint town of Enniskerry remembers seeing anyone who matched Annie's description that day. Seems to be a common theme. What is going on? Oh man, it's like this is a town of we ain't see nothing, we ain't do nothing, we ain't saying nothing. She was a 5'8" woman with long curly hair, a recognizable tweed coat, and a distinctive American accent. That's funny, a distinctive American accent. Annie should have stood out like a sore thumb, but nobody saw her. A local who worked in the post office believed that she had sold stamps to a woman who she believed was Annie, but couldn't be certain. The police office didn't have CCTV cameras, so no footage exists that could support this claim. A security guard at the popular Johnny Fox pub came forward later to state that he saw Annie with an unidentifiable male in the pub that evening. He described the man as roughly 5'9", between the ages of 24 to 28, clean shaven, athletic build, brown hair, and square jawed. But he had never seen the man in the pub before. Another guard, Paul O'Reilly, told Garter that he had believed he had seen Annie around there at 9:30 p.m. that night in the lounge. This has been brought into question. However, as it's 5 miles from Enniskerry to Fox's, and the night that she had been missing was extremely wet with torrential rain. How would she have traveled the distance there in adverse weather with little to no protection from these elements? I'm confused. I thought she went hiking. Well, I guess she would have been back, but how long? That's the thing. I need to know how long it took to go hiking. To this day, no trace of Annie has ever been discovered, and no arrests have ever been made. Quick question before I keep reading. Does the rain wash off prints or footprints? Because if that's the case, maybe they couldn't find her, but I feel like it shouldn't wash off everything that she's been. Especially if she was on the bus, they should be able to. Well, I guess they saw that she was on the bus, so. Yeah, that's tough. Okay. It looks like we jump. All right, so we're going from 93 to 2023 now. On March 26, 2023, on the 30th anniversary of her disappearance, the Garda announced that they were upgrading the case from missing person to a murder inquiry. Really? 30 years later? For real? They are now also following a line of investigation that Annie never actually left Sandy Mountain that day and was murdered by someone known to her in that area. This theory is supported by a few factors, such as her leaving perishables unpacked and in grocery bags, which would suggest that she had only left very briefly and had every intention to return, perhaps to meet someone. Secondly, her coworker had noted that the woman she thought was Annie didn't respond to her greeting, which she described as being out of character for her. Is it possible that Aymar was mistaken in her recognition of this woman and spotted someone who looked like Annie but wasn't? Finally, it is noted that it was raining heavily that evening, but Annie was not dressed appropriately for the weather conditions, and neither did she have an umbrella. She was widely considered to be an intelligent and organized young woman who was street smart and well prepared. The belief that she would get up, abandon her groceries, leave heavily underdressed for the weather, and travel to Enniskerry to then walk 5 miles to a rural pub in the dark and the rain seems fairly unfounded. According to a recent development, the Garda now suspect two brothers as being directly involved in her disappearance. 30 years later? Why did they keep doing this? 30 years later, I'm like, somebody's already, let's see. Oh, Annie's a lot younger, but still, Annie was what, 26, so 56. Now, 2 more years, 58. So the brothers probably would have been around the same age. This one, they've lived so long at this point. All right, let's reread again because I went off on a quick tangent. According to a recent development, the Garda now suspect two brothers as being directly involved in her disappearance. According to an article on Dublin Live, news of the cut of the investigation team emerged months after we revealed that two brothers are now prime suspects for the murder of Annie. The pair are the focus of the upgraded murder investigation, sources say. One brother is suspected of stalking and assaulting student teacher Annie shortly before she vanished from South Dublin in March 1993. Both have previously been spoken to by Gardaí. Neither man has been arrested, but officers are building a case against them. Oh, and that's it. Oh, wow. Oh, okay. Well, so there looks like it'd be a little bit more information, but the original poster looks like, I don't know if he's saying that he mentioned it, but let's read it and then get our thoughts. All right, somebody put, you left out the latest development. The Gardaí reportedly are looking into the two brothers possibly related to the murders of May last year. Oh, he did mention this. We just read this. One of the brothers reportedly stalked and assaulted Annie before she went missing. Oh, well, I don't know about the stalk part. The Gardaí are treating this as a murder and not a disappearance. They're currently building a case against the brothers. Yeah, the original poster mentioned this. It says, and then they also put, I've been following this case closely for years as an American woman who's also went to live abroad in Europe. My heart goes out to Annie's family, as her father died without knowing what happened to her. Oh, that's sad. That's the thing about these unsolved mysteries, man. Because like you live on and you just don't know. Just don't know. And I guess I guess as a parent, you don't want any pain or you don't want anything to come to your child at the end of the day. But it's like a would you rather game. Would you rather your child like be gone and just been gone 30 years and you just not know anything? And, of course, it's playing in the background in your head. You've been driven crazy at this point. And but at the end of it, your child is gone. Or would you rather your child for 30 years be tortured, be sold, be trafficked, but then come back home? It's like the two. It's like yeah, because of course, you want to see your child again, no matter how long it takes. You want to see your child again. You want them to be alive, but I just wonder about the mental state of that. Just not even the child, not even thinking that it's like a child anymore. Just of the person after that length of time. I don't know. That's a conundrum. I hope, hopefully, never have to go through anything like that. And my heart goes out to the people that do. But I don't know. I just wonder what people would say to that because I honestly had trouble answering it myself. Like selfishly, I would want my child back, even if it took 30 years. But the pain they have gone through for those 30 years, would that be would that be beneficial to my child? Of course, I don't want my child to die. That's what makes it tough. That's what makes the whole thing tough. But like for 30 years for them to go through something, they're not the same person when they come back. Not even close. I would say the smiling, the laughing, the joking, I would assume that stopped. That whatever memories you had with them, that might come. I don't know, because it would be so much therapy they would have to go through. So much, especially just in this, like the scenario I'm proposing. But, and I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what I would choose. Selfishly, I lean towards get my child back, even if it took 30 years. But that is honestly that I feel like that is so selfish. So it is very selfish. Yeah, but all right, let's read some of these. Let's read some of these comments. Yeah, two sad cases. Okay, but I kind of understand now when like comparing the stories to Ava and Annie because it seems like Annie's case was bigger at the time because it happened first, and then it seemed like it might have been a copycat in a sense. But the thing is, Ava just disappeared. Annie, a lot more people saw Annie. Ava like just literally just disappeared from the face of the earth. Like somebody found her, bagged her up, and just took her and was gone. But if she didn't have like no romantic, what did Ava do? Like, like for her job. Let me go back and read that real quick, and then I'll get back into the comments because Annie was a teacher. It was stated that especially at the end because she has some stalkers. So I'll say Annie probably was a good looking woman. And the same thing with Ava. Ava appeared 10 years younger than her actual age. Usually people say that, meaning that, okay, she did not, she had appealing qualities to her. But it doesn't really, in this one that I'm reading, and of course I'm reading these on Reddit right now, they don't say what Ava did in this story, unless I'm just scrolling right now. and I might have missed it, but they don't say what Ava did because I don't know if she had a stalker as well because that would explain a lot. Um, yeah, okay. Okay, going back to Annie. Somebody said, "Yep, it's the brothers who did it. They still live in Sandy Mount, the scumbags." Oh wow. Somebody said, "I heard one of them is an estate agent down there. Very posh area. Wouldn't be surprised. And if they're well connected enough, they could have kept this quiet for a very long time." Oh man. Somebody asked for their names, but that doesn't look like to be released. And then somebody else put, "I'm completely thinking the ex-colleague was mistaken. I'm guessing Annie answered the buzzer in the apartment and ran to a neighbor for a quick interaction. Maybe she was feeding a pet for a neighbor who was away and disturbed someone. I'm thinking something similar," the original poster states. "I read an article that states the gardener now believes she had a stalker who was known to her and lived in the area. He allegedly had violent tendencies, so who knows? Personally, I don't believe she ever left Sandy Mount." Yeah, but they're saying, well, this must be after the other people because it must be the stalker must be the people in her class, but maybe she taught. I need to go back and read the first part of the story. I need to see what if she taught like college kids, high school kids. I need to see what she taught. Somebody says, "I agree that she never left the area. Her handbag was handed into the police, having been found behind a pub in Donnybrook, which isn't far from Sandymount. Also, I recall she also left washing in the communal washing machine, which, along with the groceries being left out, suggests to me that she was interrupted at home." That is true. And no forced entry. I wonder if that just means she opened her door, but she could have still got bum rushed inside, right? But I'm assuming they didn't. But the thing is, they didn't find any other fingerprints. So maybe she saw the students and was like, "Hey, man, you need to go." Or maybe she like opens her door and she's like, but her food was inside, right? But she just didn't put it up. So obviously, or maybe she just didn't lock her door back. But even then, there should have been some fingerprints again, unless these are like true criminals, then they're like covering the tracks. But I would seriously doubt that. Somebody put, "Yeah, when I read that Annie didn't respond, my first thought was it clearly wasn't her, especially if she was friendly and outgoing as described. Unless she was very distracted and upset about something. But her flatmates, the plumber, etc., never said that, and she wasn't seen in Niskari when she was meant to have been seen there." Okay. All right, and the last one I'll read. Somebody puts, "Absolutely agree with your analysis at the end, questioning the eyewitness statements. Heading to a Niskari to sync up with the male seems like it would have been carried out relatively discreetly, which means she would have to hide it from all her friends and her family for some reason, which would be weird why she would do that. That takes a lot of work to hide and would need to be planned carefully. And then she picks up and heads out suddenly and leaves groceries on the counter and doesn't wear a coat, etc. Those things don't jive. I think someone pulled her out of the house suddenly, like someone called or rang the doorbell, and then she befell some sort of misfortune." Hmm. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. Man, all the women out there in the European countries, I know this is a long time ago, but again, I'll say it, be careful. This sounds like some shady stuff go out there. I know stuff happens here in the U.S. too, but jeez, I probably need to make a day of one like European stuff, U.S. stuff, Asian stuff happen, Australian, African, throw it all in there. But all right, that's all I'm reading for today. I got some stuff I got to do for later today, but appreciate everybody who has tuned in or who will tune in eventually. Oh, I have a comment actually. First time chat. Basika, how many murders go without murderer being found per year? I don't know. I have to look that. I can look that up, but it probably is. It's probably a lot. Probably a lot. I don't know. Let's see. Let's see if I can look it up real quick because that is an interesting topic. Because a lot of these, or better yet, let's just say how many murders go unsolved every year. I think that probably be a better question. Let me see. How many murders go unsolved every year? Let's see. Yeah. I'm gonna have a look at I'm gonna have a look it up for us, but it seems like yeah, it seems like a lot to be honest with you because there seems to be never ending stories about how somebody goes missing. I know a lot of these stories are from like they'll start like in the 90s. Some are as recent as now, but it seems like quite a bit. Okay, so let's see. It says recent estimates indicate it says just for the U.S. that 40 to 50% of reported homicide cases remain unsolved each year. In practical terms, given there are typically the order of 15,000 to 20,000 murders reported annually, so this means that about 7,000 to 10,000 homicide cases go unsolved every year. Oh wow. So it says example data compiled by organizations tracking cold cases with clearance rates shows that in 2020, when the clearance rate dipped below 50%, close to 10,000 cases, around 9,800 by some estimated, were not cleared by law enforcement, meaning no suspect was arrested, charged, and brought to trial in that year. More recent figures, yearly figures, have tended to fall within a similar range, though the exact number can fluctuate due to factors like reporting practices, changes in investigative resources, and evolving forensic technologies. It's important to note that the term unsolved in this context usually means that no suspect has been officially identified, arrested, or charged, despite the investigation. Some cases might eventually be cleared by exceptional means, for example, if a suspect dies, even if no trial occurs. While these figures apply to the U.S., where detailed data are available, the percentage and absolute numbers can significantly can vary significantly from one country or jurisdiction to another due to differences in crime rates, law enforcement practices, and reporting methods. So, Vasika, that is just doing just a quick analysis. That is the reason why, but that is for there just to be in the U.S. Thinking about the U.S. and to think that many cases go unsolved is quite a high number, which is absolutely insane. But again, feel sorry for all definitely all the victims that are out here, especially the ones going solved. Hopefully, the family, you know, as a family member, that's at the end of the day, you would just need to know something. That would be my thing. I would just want to know anything. Just be like, tell me anything that happened that could. I know it's not going to ease the pain, but it can kind of bring some sort of closure. Just knowing, you just not knowing, you're just living with a sense of fear. You would be angry. I don't know. You would want revenge too, but it would be tough. It would honestly, it would be tough out. It would be tough. But all right, thank you for everybody watching. This again is my channel. I'm trying to figure out a schedule, but until I do, I will see y'all next time. And again, these are the different mysteries with just crime stories that I'll be talking about.